All right. So welcome to the Humphrey Schools Policy Fellows information session. Before we get started, I just had a few logistical items. We have a closed captioning available for those of you who would like a live transcript. You can enable that by clicking on the closed caption button on the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of your screen. And please use the Q&A feature to ask your questions, which is also along the bottom. We'll try and get through as many as possible. If we don't get to your question or you think of one later on, please feel free to email us, and I will put our email in the chat, so you can make note of that and be in touch as you consider applying. The webinar is also being recorded and will be available on our website, and we'll email it out to all of you as well. I'll put the website that I'll be referring to throughout the webinar in the chat too, and we just strongly encourage you to, if you haven't already, take a look there. But there's a wealth of information there as well that could be helpful. So thank you for being here. My name is Sarah Benscofer. I'm the Executive Director of the Policy Fellows Program, and I also lead a number of other engagement efforts here at the Center for the Study of Politics and Governance at the Humphrey School. I've been in this role for about 5.5 years. My career has centered on public policy, advocacy, civic engagement, been legislative staff in both the Minnesota House and Senate, and was executive director of an organization that supported early childhood and school age care educators, where I led a similar fellowship. Next, I'll have my colleague Cody say hello.
Hi everyone, my name's Cody Jackett. I'm the program specialist for the Policy Fellows. In addition to the Policy Fellows, I also work on some of the Center for the Study of Politics and Governance public events, as well as a certificate in election administration program. And I've been with the Humphrey School for a little over 4 years now.
Great, thank you. I'm also very pleased that two Policy Fellow alumni are joining us to share their experiences and advice throughout the webinar. Jason, do you want to go first and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah and Cody. Hi, everybody. My name is Jason Jackson. I use he and him pronouns, and I serve as the Director for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging. Yes, we're still doing that work in 2026. I'm doing that role here at Minnesota Management and Budget, so I work for the state. And I, as you can see, was a 2023-2024 fellow. I'm happy to be here to share some of my experiences with you. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy Sterney. I am the policy coordinator for PARA, which is the Public Employee Retirement Association, so also kind of in the state system. I work a lot with the legislature and all the stakeholders who care about PARA. As it says, I was a 2018-2019 fellow, so I'm happy to have been in the program and continue to be involved in the program too.
Great, thank you. So today we'll be touching on many aspects of the program and the application process. We'll take questions during each section, and Jason and Amy will share their reflections too, as we said. The program is a great opportunity, but also a big commitment. So there are a number of leadership programs, master's programs, certificates, etc. And it's our hope that this webinar will help you discern if this fellowship is right for you at this time. So what is the Policy Fellows program? So we know we're living in a time of great polarization where we find many wanting to only interact with those that agree with them, where we're quick to dismiss others or believe we know who they are based on a comment or a post on social media. And there isn't a lot of space for conversation and curiosity, but the Policy Fellows believes there's a different way. So our program is a place where committed leaders from all backgrounds meet together, not to avoid differences, but to engage with them and thoughtfully. Here you'll find a community that values learning from each other, working across perspectives, and building the skills to lead in complexity. So if you're looking for a space to sharpen your leadership skills, deepen your understanding of public policy systems, connect with others who care a lot about Minnesota, then this is for you. So multi-partisanship is a key word here in this definition. on the screen. It's a core value of the program since its inception 36 years ago. That was due to Vice President Mondale, who founded this program in partnership with Ambassador Jerry Joseph. Both continued to have influence on the program even after they were no longer directing it, and their legacy lives on in the program and the alumni who have participated. We just really believe deeply in this importance of working across difference and knowing that Minnesota, we all come from varied backgrounds, and that should be celebrated. After about 4 or 5 Mondale years, the program was then run for a dozen or so years by former Congressman Tim Penny and Vin Weber. And now, for more than 20 years, Professor Larry Jacobs has been the faculty director. So, this program is a cohort experience. So, you learn from and with others in the program. It's also an opportunity to build your own leadership skills, awareness and capacity, how you work, your community fits, how your work in your community fits into these broader systems at play, which is where the public policy and politics come in. You also have access to those who hold influential positions in Minnesota and DC and who are making decisions that impact our everyday lives. So, this is a non degree, non credit program, and you'll receive a certificate of completion at the end. The fellows are living and working in Minnesota. Another core value and something that sets this program apart is the focus on bringing people together across sectors. So participants are from nonprofits, business, government, the military, working in issues around education, healthcare, housing, kind of runs the gamut. There are typically 30 to 35 fellows in each cohort, and it's very intentionally diverse across many metrics. So gender, politics, geography, race, ethnicity, sector, as I said, personal background, age, experience level. We kind of are very intentional to put a group together with varied background. So we talk about this being a mid-career opportunity. And since we know that lives and careers follow many paths, we do not define mid-career in terms of age or years since graduation. Typically, our fellows have at least a few years of experience and or are committed to contributing to their communities. Some could be nearing retirement too, though, and they're interested in staying connected and having new opportunities. So it's a really broad range, and we welcome those varied experiences. That makes it for a much richer experience for everyone. We're looking for people who want to learn and grow, but who also want to contribute. So those who are open and curious and who ask questions. We're not asking you to abandon your beliefs, but seek to understand others and thereby better understand your own beliefs too. This is not a program to pursue your own specific project or goal or issue. This is definitely a group endeavor journey. If you look around in your family and friends, your coworkers, kind of all reinforces what you already believe or know, and you're seeing that this sorting is maybe making it difficult to work together on issues that confront us, then this program is for you. And I don't mean just political sorting either. As I said, working across sector is a critical component of this program. So maybe you work in corporate America and you've never met anyone working in the military, but that happens here in this program. So we make these connections that are often lifelong. There are no educational or specific professional requirements beyond, wanting some work experience or community involvement. We also have an active alumni network. So we have more than 1,000 alumni, which is so great. There's alumni board who plans events, who fundraise for scholarship support, who participate in webinars like this, and who help with group projects, etc., which we'll talk a bit more about too. But many alumni speak highly of the experience and stay connected to the program after. So with that, I'd love to turn it over to Jason and Amy. Amy, do you, have thoughts about your cohort, like what you thought about the mix of perspectives and experience?
I really valued the breadth of the cohort. We, as you had said, political breadth, but also sector and age. It was a really unique opportunity to be in a room where you're never going to meet these people otherwise. And so being able to have that, I still maintain quite a few friendships from my time in the cohort, which is really awesome. And again, the ability to learn from people in this space is just really intentional and amazing.
Great. Jason, what would you add to that, or why did you want to do the fellowship?
Yeah. Again, Jason here. I would say I wanted to join the fellows for a few reasons. Number one, I had originally or before this, I was on a board for an organization for about 4 years, loved it. And after 4 years, I'm like, I need something else to do different than this board. But I want to be in a place where I was like doing more and more learning. Kind of like what Sarah mentioned, like this like mid-career area where you have done some work, but it's like you can always develop skills in new areas. And so in terms of public policy, and I would even go as far as saying like politics, I was very like weary, right? Because I'm a straight shooter when I speak. I'm very open and honest about my beliefs. And I've always kind of felt often in my experience that like politicians sometimes kind of speak around things. And I had like a little bit of distrust, honestly, in like government and how it worked. And if I had that, um, I don't want to say phobia, but like resistance. How I get over things like that is I jump right in and start learning about it anyway and proving myself wrong. And so getting into the program, I had a friend of mine or colleague of mine who went through it and said I would be great as a part of that, the policy fellows. So I applied and I get in and like Amy mentioned, so diverse in terms of age and perspectives and like political leanings, honestly. And I was a little anxious about it because again, I come from a place of like doing work around social justice and the workplace and the universities. And so having conversations across difference, I was a little anxious about it, to be honest with you, because I'm the kind of person where I could disagree with you completely, but I am really critical and anxious about being pushed back on in terms of my own humanity, right? Someone saying that I don't belong or a group of people don't belong. So I'm all about inclusion. So in my experience in the cohort, I felt like I had people who are around me who are very different. Yet I felt like the more I listened to people, the more I actually felt really deeply connected. And we had very similar beliefs, even though we had different political leanings, for example, or different ways of entering into the conversation. And I learned a lot about myself and even some of my own biases and frustrations with thinking across difference. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of
No,
went on a tangent.
no, that was great. Thank you. Um, that was really good. Next, we will talk about the program components and expectations. We meet monthly on Fridays for full day sessions. The dates are listed on our website, which I will put in the chat again. Um, we meet monthly over a 10-month period, and that's intentional. So you can build these relationships that we're talking about with those in your cohort. Just a really important aspect of the program. In addition to the monthly sessions, there's often prep work, readings, videos, et cetera, that are typically like 1 to 2 hours or so. Because this is a commitment, if you're currently, an undergrad or you're getting your master's or PhD or in some other learning experience, we'd encourage you to wait until you've completed those other opportunities before applying for this. There's a sample curriculum on our website, so you can take a look at that to get more details about the sessions. But overall, each session has a skill building workshop where we have a guest facilitator and we dig deeper on a particular topic. And then we have guest speakers who are often applying this topic in their work. So you can see firsthand how what you're learning can be applied in the real world. And or we can discuss a topic of particular interest at the moment in time. Topics include mindful leadership, intercultural communication and conflict fluency, coalition building, how to bridge difference, and more. We also have a number of legislative skill building workshops, including, state legislative kind of 101 presentations, how to be an effective advocate. You'll set up meetings with your state legislators. You'll participate in a mock committee hearing. and more there too. As I said before, there are no educational or specific experiences that are required, and that knowledge, and that includes the knowledge of any, government or public policy. So we will touch on those issues. So you don't need to know anything before you apply. For those that are more involved in the policymaking world, we ask you to sort of be mentors to those fellows who are just learning about the process, to offer your own experiences with the group, and maybe you'll still learn a thing or two along the way as well. So all these workshops and presentations are adding more tools to your leadership toolbox. We want you to have a variety of ways to approach what's happening in your work and community. We talk a lot about how these skills are like a muscle and you have to keep using them to be effective. So in each session, you're also given opportunities to practice with each other and ask questions. One set of tools or something we do as a group right away is to create group norms about how we will interact with each other and with our guests. And we use these as a guide throughout the year. And we highlight them throughout the program and expect that we all do our very best to abide by them. Like Jason said, we expect that your views and perspectives will be challenged by some of our speakers and by each other. And we want to create a space together where these conversations can happen effectively. So another integral piece of the curriculum are group projects. So the projects are imagined and developed and self-directed by the fellows. We start in October with brainstorming ideas that are of interest. And then after all those conversations have continued and all of the ideas are shared in November, you all will decide which projects to move forward with in teams of like 4 to 7 people or so. Projects are wide-ranging from, raising awareness for issues that haven't gotten attention or to projects that are being discussed at the Capitol and everything in between. The projects don't have to have a legislative component, but they certainly can. And this is just another opportunity to build strong relationships with those that are working on the projects together. And you're also connecting with community members who you'll reach out to as resources. So these project teams are just, again, another way to keep using the tools you're learning and to build those leadership muscles. So Jason, do you want to share more about what your project was or maybe a memorable project from your year?
I love it. I want to also acknowledge the fact that when you're talking about this project, what I loved about this process with the policy fellows was that we all had to come in and actually pitch something that we were interested in exploring further. And we did. And I think I had chosen for myself a discussion around Minnesota having better laws around FMLA and for like our people who are parents having more time with like their families. And there was like a similar model in California. I'm like, oh, this is great. This is very Minnesotan, right? And I was all excited to pitch it and I pitched it. And then we had to, of course, narrow it down and have like only a few groups. Mine did not get chosen. I was deeply offended. Just kidding. No, I was, but I was struck by the fact that I care so deeply about a project, and I assumed all my peers would too. But instead, we chose another project, which was for pay equity in the state of Minnesota and having better pay equity laws that are expansive across just beyond gender. It was around pay equity around race and making sure we are holding state employees, our state system accountable to ensuring we're giving people what they are worth and what they're getting paid. And it was really fascinating to go through that process because I thought it'd be as easy as saying, put a bill out, but I learned what it meant to actually author a bill, what it meant to get people more involved. And in the project I was working on with my small group, I realized that I maybe knew the least about policy development, but what I knew how to do was run a meeting and get organized. And so I found my place really quickly in that group. And again, learn from them. They learned from me. And again, that group project I work on, those people in that group, I'm still deeply connected with and call on quite often when I'm doing my work. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. That's great. Yes, it is hard because there are many projects that are identified, but yeah, only a smaller number can move forward. So Amy, what would you say about projects?
I think it's a really great opportunity to get outside of your comfort zone. I don't remember what I had put forward as an idea. Obviously, it didn't get picked. And so when I was looking at the ideas that were out there, there are a lot of them that were safe places for me to go, ones that involved legislative stuff or ones that involved policy that I was familiar with. And I chose to go in an entirely opposite direction and did a project about reclaiming Native truth and got to really learn about something I had no experience with, got to uh, appreciate perspective. And we ended up building out an event that we had to invite people from our networks to. And so then you got to expose other people to a perspective that is just not heard very often. And so I think I would encourage you when you get to this point of the program to really go outside your comfort zone because it's a safe, constructive place to do that. And you're going to be amazed at what you learn from that experience.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring up that we do encourage people. I mean, you can obviously do what you would like to do, but we do encourage people to potentially think about a project that is outside of what you would normally work on. Um, Also, there's a question here about does every fellow need to pitch a project? No, not every person needs to pitch one, but we do ask that you sort of engage in the ideas. So we use a platform for kind of figuring out what the projects are going to be, and we do ask that everyone to be part of that process. Um, so the sessions are held in the Twin Cities, most often at the Humphrey School. 1 month we're at the state capitol, where we meet with the Minnesota Supreme Court Justice, House and Senate legislative leaders, lobbyists, media. Um, and then, in and around that time, you'll be meeting with your two legislators as well. We also have a 4-day study trip to DC, which is a highlight of the program, where we meet with a variety of people working in the public policy space of Washington, think tanks, legislators, lobbyists, etc. We went to DC this past February. We met with former National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, um, Amy Klobuchar, former Senator Noam Coleman, a Washington Post editor, and so many others. So you get a pretty amazing collection of conversations, that experience. In terms of expectations, as I said before, this is a cohort experience. So, we expect that you're present at each session. This is just very important in creating the space that I spoke about and ensuring just a strong, sort of thriving cohort. Um, we want you to be interested in listening and learning, that you'll strive to be effective, but not right, and that you'll step out of your kind of echo chamber and connect across difference. Also, like many things in life, you get out what you put into it. So, we expect you to prioritize the experience, take advantage of all the opportunities that the program offers, and then that be the way that you get many of the benefits that we're talking about today. Um, so Amy, do you remember a favorite session or favorite speaker or topic, or what would you say about the time commitment? Anything along those lines?
I think I'd echo you're going to get out of the program what you put in. And so making sure that when you are at the every Friday that you're there, that you're really focusing on being at that place. I remember, oh gosh, that was years ago. And I'm not going to remember his name, but he was with the St. Paul Foundation. And he came and he spoke about perspectives and just being really struck at the value that the insight that he brought of being able to see from other points of view. And then I remember that Washington, D.C. trip. It was an amazing time to get to know the cohort too and hear from a lot of different people. We went to the Capitol. I think Representative Emmer was there, and Betty McCollum's chief of staff. So it's just the breadth of people, not only in the cohort, but like the people that are brought in to speak is just amazing to be able to
Yeah,
have that.
great. Thank you. Jason?
Yeah, I'm going to echo several things actually that Amy had mentioned. And this is what I would say, the time commitment is like once a month. And I do highly recommend that you attend every session. And here's why. It's the connections that you make with people before you go on this trip to DC. Um, and kind of knowing who the folks who you feel really comfortable and even sometimes safe being around. And here's why. We got to DC and it was really fascinating to, like Amy mentioned, see some of these folks who have so much power. Um, in the legislator and coming in and speaking. So seeing Amy was really powerful. Amy Klobuchar. And then we got a chance to see Tom Emmer, who, being really open, vehemently agreed with majority of things that come out of his mouth. And I'm listening to him speak, and my blood kind of boils when he makes a comment. And I remember looking over at my other peers in the program and immediately feeling like safe and comfortable and connected with them during those moments of really weird tension, right? Um, but I actually love being in that space and going to DC and listening to some of the speakers and how they speak about political issues that are happening around us in our world. Because, for me, living in Minnesota, it's easy for me, I can't speak for myself, to be around people who are having nuanced conversations around like race or immigration. But when we got to DC, I was shockingly surprised to see that some of the conversations and way people were speaking was very like more polarized than I would have expected. When I've gone to DC, I usually go to hang out with friends and party, but going to DC on this trip was like a whole different experience, getting a chance to be um in these spaces was really fascinating. So to me, again, it was a experience I'm struggling to even articulate because it was really, really powerful. Really
Yeah.
powerful.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you
I'll
both.
stop there.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. A couple questions, and I'd love for this one, and I'm going to start with that if Amy and Jason have thoughts too. Um, but somebody is asking essentially about whether people who have, more conservative or fiscally conservative perspectives will feel welcome, and how we, reflect that in admissions and creating the environment. And, very important question. Thank you for asking. We again feel very strongly about putting together cohorts that have this diversity, including across a political perspective. And so that's something that we look at very intentionally during the application process. And so we're, choosing people who have conservative ideals, alongside those who are more progressive, alongside those who are in nonprofits, all those things that I was discussing. Um, and then in the environment itself, again, we have the group norms that we use. We're, having sessions where we're learning about how to have these conversations. And so we're building that kind of community together throughout the time. But I don't know if Amy and Jason have other thoughts to add to that.
I can go first. So when I went through the Humphrey alumni or Humphrey Fellowship, I actually worked for the Senate Republican Caucus. So I came in with those conservative viewpoints and felt a space where, sometimes you do get challenged. And to me, being challenged is a good thing. It helps me to make sure that when I'm looking at a policy, it's fully thought through and vetted and realizing the impact it has on people. And it also allowed me to kind of look at different ways of how to present my thoughts and feelings that I had. So it's a challenge, but I think it's a challenge for everyone that holds political opinions to be in a space where not everyone is shared of that opinion. And so I think it's a safe space to have those conversations. I would not have traded my experience for anything. And I'm so glad that like I didn't let concern of being in a space that may be different and may be challenging um, not allow me to do something and engage in that space. So I think it's a great spot. As Sarah said, they do a really good job of encouraging diversity, and that means many different things. So I would highly encourage you to consider it.
Yeah, thank you.
I
Jason?
agree with Amy, full stop. Because I think the question about whether or not if you are conservative or Republican, whether or not you're welcome, I think the question is, you know, how you actually show up and navigate working across different other people, regardless of your political affiliation, regardless of your whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or individual, is how you actually communicate. Because I know that from my understanding that when they're choosing people to be a part of the fellowship, we're also different, right? And I see it right when I walked in. And there was actually a person in my cohort who came up to me. It was like the first month, and we were just having like a general conversation. And he looked at me and he just said to me, he's like, "Oh, I'm Republican," out of nowhere. I'm all like, "What? Why? Why are you telling me this?" Because to me, my question is, well, what does that mean? You're Republican, right? And I think he said to me because I was talking about the work I do around social justice and DEI, and he almost kind of wanted to tell me like immediately that he was a Republican. And then as we started to talk and have conversations, I actually understood what that meant for him. And just because he identified as a Republican, for him, it didn't mean that he voted for a particular Republican person, right? But he shared more about his values, which were actually strangely pretty connected to my own. And he and I had a great relationship because both of us entered into the conversation with asking each other questions about how we got to where we are, who we are, our families, our backgrounds, right? And so I think, again, it was less about him or I being welcome into this space because of our political opinions. It was more about how we showed up with each other and in a space of humility, right? Asking questions. Like I was curious to know, like, why don't you come up to me and tell me you're a Republican? And what does that mean to you? And that's what that's the power of it, this space, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop.
You gonna say more, Amy?
Yeah,
Or
I
just
was just gonna say, be curious.
yeah,
As Jason said, right? Like, being curious, asking questions. That's the value of this program.
yeah. Dig deeper.
Yeah.
Um, so just a couple other questions in here. Do the group projects require time outside of the routine sessions? Yes, that will require additional time. Most of the sessions, there is group project time available, but then you will need to do kind of a bigger chunk outside. And that really would just depend on the topic and how many people are in your group, etc. Um, let's see, a couple other things I'll get to. Um, oh yeah, this one. Can you do it if you're not currently employed? And yes, you can still apply if you're not currently employed, and that does not, negatively impact your application. Again, just wanting to, you have some experience um, in the worker community level. And then there are some others here that I'll get to as we go along here. So next up is more information about the application process. So I'll put this in the chat again. But you want to go to our website and download the application form. It's in a Microsoft Word, but in a Google Doc, but you want to download it to make your own. You'll prepare the application form and the essays in this Word document. Then you'll go to an online platform, which is also linked at the site, enter some basic information, and then upload your Word document, or if you make it into a PDF. So the selection committee wants to hear about how you got to where you are today. Tell us your story. Your story matters and is unique. And if you want to talk about your work, go beyond the job title, share the work you've been involved in as much detail as you can. We're also interested in hearing like what's challenging for you. Like what are you struggling with? What do you hope that this program can help you with to, work on those challenges? Sharing, showing self-awareness, self-reflection on where you are right now, like and why this program is important, like in this moment is helpful for us to hear. And I would say sort of go beyond how you hope this will help you only and how you might help your organization, how you think it might help your community more broadly. Um, we also just strongly recommend that you have someone else review your application before submission. Just a fresh set of eyes can help ensure some clarity and strong communication of what your experiences and goals are. We ask for two recommendation letters. They can be people you know from work, from your community, from a previous fellow. We'd like it to be a current recommendation, someone who will speak to your involvement in the program specifically. Please try to avoid getting, two from your work or two from the same place that you volunteer. Sort of try to vary who you're getting your letters from. Choose people who can speak to where you are in this, leadership journey and how this program will help you in building your capacity at this moment. And please only submit two recommendations. It doesn't improve your application to submit more than two, so two is just perfect. You can either include the recommendations in your application or you can have them email it to us directly. It's important that the recommendations are included in the application or emailed to us by the deadline. If they aren't, then we consider your application incomplete. So please be in touch with your recommenders now so that they can submit it in a timely fashion. So we typically have, at least twice as many applicants as we can accept. The selection committee always has really tough decisions to make because the majority of the applicants are very impressive. The selection committee is made up of alumni, and they dig into each application, looking holistically at all the essays and recommendations. And they, again, are looking for people who are at this inflection point in their career and their life where they've had some experiences but are just more eager for the growth that we've been talking about. If you aren't chosen, we strongly encourage you to apply again because it just may fall out differently the next year. We very often have people apply more than once before they are accepted. Um, Amy, what would you like share about how to approach the application? I know it's been a little bit longer since you've since you've done it, but if you have any thoughts about that.
I really resonated with what you said about like the challenges that you're facing now and how this program can help you work through those challenges. I think that was a big component of when I applied. I also I remember talking to a coworker who had gone through it and being unsure of whether or not like I had the caliber to apply and him telling me, no, you just need to apply. So I think that that was something that I just am mindful of when people talk to me about it and like concerned about like what their resume may look like or what their qualifications are. Like, go ahead and do it. You'll never know if you don't do it. And then just note how this program can help you impact your community around you, whether that's work, whether that's your volunteer, or just the community. I think that's also very important to know.
Yeah, thanks. Jason, what would you say about the application?
Confession to make, Sarah. When I did my application, I didn't have anybody look at mine. I just wrote it. And I think, and again, and I want you to listen to Sarah, not Jason Jackson, because you should have somebody look it over it and making sure that you are being honest and upfront and maybe have somebody else questioning you about what you're writing. For me, I wrote it because I'm like, I feel for me at the time, and even sometimes, even to this day, you know, being on social media, looking at the news, I felt like I needed to be around more people in a community, people having like dialogue and conversations and things that I couldn't get out of, sometimes my own little silo of my friends and community. So I wrote with some authenticity in there and some honesty. And I think I wrote it in a way where I was reflecting being myself. And so I think that's what I would encourage you to do. And I don't want anybody on this call, it's 63 people on here to think, oh, well, I'm not smart enough. Or I don't know enough about policy or enough about how government works. Do it anyway and be honest and be open. Because if there is a spot for you, it would be meant for you. Um, yeah, and then again, too, I'm surprised that are people writing more than two recommendation letters, Sarah?
Sometimes.
Come on, overachievers, split the two, or whatever the thing is. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about being honest with yourself about what you're looking for and what you're trying to achieve. And I would say that for everybody in our career, whether you are unemployed or have been employed for a while, I think that we all have something to learn, and understand and engage with. And I want you to be honest, on that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, well, that's great advice, and it somewhat touches on a question that's in here. Somebody asked, when you talk about challenges and struggles, should we speak about our personal or professional or both? And I think it's, whatever you're comfortable sharing, right? So, if you do have both, then we'd love to hear both. But I think, again, as vulnerable and as honest as you are comfortable doing is, I think, good advice that Jason said. Um, and then another question is about, do you prefer work, personal, or policy involvement recommendations? There's no real like recommendation that it's better than another in the sense of like where it's coming from. It's really about hearing from those that have worked with you in various ways that really think that this program would be beneficial to you, at this moment. Um, so there are a bunch of questions about funding, which is not surprising. And that's what we're going to discuss next. Um, so the program fee is $11,000. This covers each of the 10 sessions, the trip to DC, including hotel and airfare and most of the meals, covers everything that, takes to put a program together, speakers, facilitators, all that good stuff. It's funded by employer and individual participant support, and also grants from several foundations and businesses, including the George Family Foundation. We also have many alumni who give to the program each year. Um, which is really great to see. Because it's not a credit course, we do not go through U of M financial aid. We do not collect financial information during the application or selection process. So we strongly encourage you to apply if you're interested in the program, and not to worry about the program fee at this time because we work with every chosen fellow to build a package that works for them. Um, if you are employed, we strongly encourage you to seek as much employer support as you can. Um, and if you think you're going to apply, you know, I suggest starting those conversations now. But once you're accepted, we also provide resources to help make that pitch if needed. We also recognize that many organizations are experiencing, difficult financial times, and so, they might not have as many professional development funds or other pots of money. So we'll take that into account if that's your situation. We do also ask that people make every effort to contribute at a level that is reasonable for them too. You can make, payments over the course of the program year, um, if that's helpful. But I think um, it's nice to see that people are wanting to invest in their own learning as well. Um, we also, it's important that you get your employer's support for your participation in relation to the time needed off as well, and understand that that can be, a significant piece of it. Um, but, we assess all of that once a fellow is chosen. Um, and based off of the employer contribution, what the individual might be able to do, then we talk about scholarships. And we have a limited number of partial and full scholarships that are really reserved for the most in need, which we will determine again once you're chosen. Um, but again, I don't want that fee to be a barrier. So please apply, and we will work together to find a combination of funding that works for you. If you are in Greater Minnesota, we cover the cost of lodging the night before each session, as well as the night before and after DC. And we can talk about mileage reimbursement too if you're a certain distance away. So we're really wanting to try to make that as accessible as possible for those in Greater Minnesota. Um, and yeah, so I think that's um, what I wanted to say about the cost. Jason, what would you tell an employer about the benefit of participating in this program?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I can't echo enough what you just said, Sarah, about the funding being, don't let it being a barrier when you see this number, because I almost did. I was like, somebody, how am I going to pay for this? I was so wrapped up into it. And what I did, I applied during the time when I was working for Health Partners before I came to work at the state. And actually, both employers were willing to pay some of my funding for it. But long story short, in retrospect, if I were to go back, I would continuously push the idea that this is professional development in such a strong way. It's a professional development about how to um, engage. We learned about working across difference. Some of the speakers that did come into the Policy Fellows program that came and spoke, many of them talked about, um, the different issues that are on the table in the legislator. People talked about different topics around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And again, very different types of speakers from like people who were more on the conservative side, some that were much more liberal. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is that like being even in those spaces every month on a Friday, I learned so much about how to be a great public speaker, more influential speaker, and a connector in this work. So if I were to go back, I would continue to say this is a great professional development for me, not just in terms of what I learned, but who I will be connected to and with. And it
Yeah.
has given me so much more access around people who from that program who I know more about, who I can connect with. My words are not coming out the way I want. Maybe I'm just cold. I don't know. I think I'm cold in this room. That's what
I'm
it
hearing
is.
you. I'm getting you.
Thank you.
Good. Amy, would you add anything to that about the employer piece?
Yeah, I came from at the time the Senate did not offer any money for this program, but as you had mentioned, making sure your employer is willing to let you participate fully on the Fridays, that was kind of part of the arrangement that I worked out with my employer at that time was that
Yeah.
because part of it's during session, and so sometimes Fridays are not the easiest to get off at the legislature. And
Right.
so
Right.
that was the commitment that they made. And then I worked with you guys at the time to craft a package. I would just really reiterate that that fee is not something to be concerned about at this point, and it will work out as it's meant to work out
Yeah.
after.
Yep. And just to reiterate too, another question that we don't take any financial information as part of the application process. So like only those that are chosen will we sort of work with to build a package. So again, no worries to apply right now. So next, just kind of closing up here. There are a few questions that deal with this too, but like what will you gain from the program? And if you want to move that slide forward, yeah, thank you. I've touched on most of these and Amy and Jason as well, but just want to highlight them as a group again. So the more you engage with the program, what we're offering, again, the more you're going to get out. So you'll gain tangible leadership skills and tools from these in-depth workshops. You're going to be given tools to use when having difficult conversations, and we hope you use those in your work moving forward. We hope that you have a more curious mind after the experience, that you're open to listening and finding common ground with your coworkers, your boss, your clients, etc. You'll gain a broader perspective that can often foster creativity and innovation in your work and community. I think that'll show up in your day-to-day and how you problem solve. Again, you'll gain knowledge of the policy making and how to make a difference. So we find a number of people realize that they have a voice in the public policy arena, that you can engage with your elected officials at all levels of government about issues that matter to you. And then you can also, we've seen that people take that knowledge and then they engage their own coworkers, and own, family members to do that engagement as well, which is really great to see. You'll gain strong connections to talented and accomplished leaders all around Minnesota and in different sectors. So, like we've discussed, you'll build relationships that will last a lifetime, and you'll become part of a broader alumni network. And you'll find that you won't be able to go very far before you meet someone that has been through this experience too. And you'll gain the opportunity to recharge and refocus. Um, And to add to this, I would just say that this experience might also lead to a career change, or you might run for office. Like ultimately, fellows start making connections that they might not have understood before, either on how policy is made and how it connects to your work, or how what's happening in one sector is impacting the other. There's all these endless connections, but that's what happens for many fellows. I mean, I help a number of fellows on changing their career path, connecting them with alumni in the areas of work that they're interested in, et cetera. So, um, but there is one question here that kind of gets at this a bit. Someone asked Jason and Amy, how have you applied or are still applying what you learned or experienced through the work? So I don't know if you would, build off of any of these or if there are ones that I've missed. Either person want to start? I've learned nothing. No.
I'll go. I think that's a fantastic question. One of it is I continue to be involved in the Humphrey alumni. I think that it is a continuing fantastic experience to meet people that I don't get a chance to meet in other areas. So I think that you will continue, that I've taken this is the continuing of networking and meeting people that have different perspectives. I think a lot of it too, and I can't quite remember, Sarah, like what the term was, but it was kind of like an emotional IQ intelligence session that
Emotional
we had.
intelligence. Yep.
There we go. And that has been really helpful in my job as a policy coordinator. I did switch jobs during my time at in the fellowship. I went from the Senate to para, and being able to kind of take that those connections and that development and applying it to policy making and working with legislators and working with stakeholders and internal staff. That has been a skill that I continue to use to this day.
Yep.
Jason.
I would echo it too. I think it was emotional intelligence. We did it. We had a session on that, and I use that framework now in my work around um thinking about inclusion in the workplace. So we had a lot of different like sessions that were, I think, really helpful. But really, I feel like the one here about knowledge of policy making and how to make a difference. One of the things I really appreciated about this process, and I hope I didn't like make Cody and Sarah and Larry mad, but at the very end of the cohort, we did this thing where we closing up. We're like, what did you really take away from this? And I realized for me, using I statements, that I personally don't have any interest like in the legislative side. I work even now in my role in management and budget on the executive side, where I execute and do the work that is put out. But for me, I realized that I didn't really have necessarily an interest in that world. Maybe not right now. And if I were to one day, I know exactly what I'd be getting into from going to DC and had conversations and the speakers that we had. And so for me, the piece around the recharge and the refocus, I think about the Policy Fellows program so much, especially right now, where what is happening in the federal government, the conversations that are happening around the world, around the US, probably are extremely draining. And going through that process back a couple years ago, I remember feeling refreshed, feeling like reconnected, understood where we are. And part of me kind of wants to go through the program again, like right now, because everything is heavy. So I feel like if anything, it was the recharging, the refocusing around who am I? What do I actually want to do with my career and or do it in a way that feels good to me, where I can have some integrity. That's what I really took away from it, if there was anything. And of course, my friends who were a part of my cohort, I
Yeah.
adore them. Okay. I don't know why I
Yeah.
started yelling, but yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Couple questions in here still. So, the sample curriculum, it's in the FAQ section, but I will put a link to it in the chat. Um, and then let's see, can you get deferred if you're accepted and something happens? We typically don't do a deferral only because, as we've discussed, the selection committee sort of makes a very intentional decisions about the cohort. And so we wouldn't want the next selection committee to be somewhat hindered by that. So we would ask that you apply again, but again, applying again does increase sort of your chances to get in the next time. Um, Obviously, things will happen outside of your control, but if you kind of sense that some things might be happening in this coming year, you might think about applying in a different year. Um, Someone asked the question about this program versus a master's degree. Um, so this program is quite different from a master's degree. So it's much more sort of tangible, I would say. You're getting sort of tangible skills, much more cohort based. Um, but if you have more questions about that, there are a fair number of people who've done both, actually. And so if you have more questions, you can contact us at that email, and I can get you in touch with people who have done both to sort of get a different perspective about um, which one you might want to choose. Um, and then should references be from all professional connections, or can they be from personal and professional? Yeah, either all, both. Yeah. I think it's just again, um, wanting sort of two really good people who can speak to why this is good for you at this moment in time. So I think I have all the questions taken care of. So just to close, I'd like to read two quotes from previous participants. So the first is the Fellows Program ignited a passion and a fire for community involvement and service, as well as a strong desire to serve in a state government at some point in my life. Being in Greater Minnesota can make programs like this a bit harder to find. So thank you for having resources available to make it easier. And the next is extraordinary insight on policy and how to influence the agenda for the greater good, great networking, and strong lasting friendships with people I might not have otherwise met. Exposure to thought leaders, educators, and politicians of all stripes to expand my own knowledge and challenge my thinking. A life-changing experience. Um, so, Jason and Amy, any final thoughts or advice that we haven't already discussed?
This is what I'm going to close with, and I'm feeling it. And if you're like me, you may be feeling it as well. I am in a place where I am deeply concerned about like our world. I've always kind of have been because, I'm black in America, so and queer. And these days I'm more and more deeply concerned about where we're going and certain rights being stripped away. And it can feel really overwhelming. But what I'm reminded of, especially as I get older, is that the only way I'm going to maintain some level of sanity or groundedness is if I'm in community with people. And sometimes it's people who do think a little bit differently than me to kind of give me a different level of awareness, understanding, and connection. And so staying in my bubble sometimes can drive me up a wall, but being in community right now, I think is so critical for us as people first. And then also, again, this opportunity through the Policy Fellows can enhance or give you opportunities to think about even where you want to go in terms of your professional career. Somebody asked a question about this versus a master's degree. My question is like, depending on where you want to go for your master's degree, this could be an interesting stepping stone towards it to learn first and then decide where you want to go. But beyond that, thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Jason.
I think I would add that this is an opportunity to build connections and be constructive in this time, right? Where I think a lot of us kind of spin the wheels, and doing this program allows you to enter into a space that's constructive, that's going to build networks, build connections, help you kind of think outside the box too, and realize that there are connections that you wouldn't ever have seen without this experience and without talking to people and seeing different perspectives. So it allows you to be part of a solution here in a place where maybe we're kind of spinning our wheels, and you can be an active participant in that. So I'd highly encourage the program.
Great, thank you. As people are moving along and trying to decide if they want to apply, again, please feel reach out with any questions. A reminder that applications are due on Sunday, May 10th by 11:59 p.m. Again, having your 2 recommendations included. We will inform all applicants of the decision of the selection committee by early to mid-July-ish. Again, a recording of this webinar will be available shortly. We'll email that out. So thank you again, Amy, Cody, Jason. We look forward to getting your applications, and everyone have a great day. Bye.